trying out a video for the first time today, so I hope that this is helpful. You just let me know. Your goal for this class and preparing questions for tomorrow is to get ready for a conversation coming up, an academic conversation about influence. This is like the last phase of research that you're going to do before you write a piece that explains your thoughts about the power of influence. And so your goal today is to widen your perspective on the power of influence by sharing ideas and connections and hearing other people's insights on the different resources you've had available, especially the supplemental texts. It's like you have a human library and you're going to try to get new perspectives and new information from your classmates. So your goal is to write deep discussion questions that will help you to have a really strong discussion tomorrow. On Friday, we looked at an article about the Cowichan tribes and how they just got clean water running from their taps for the first time after 34 years of not having clean water. And you generated a number of questions during our class. This is a sample of some of the ones that you wrote. We talked about how some questions are literal level questions that can just be answered with facts and research, but they don't really provoke discussion. So for example, I highlighted here in yellow, when did the water stop? When did it get contaminated? That's an important question to answer, but it can just be answered by facts or research, and there's nothing really to discuss there. Other questions really open up the discussion and involve some opinion and reasoning and us really thinking more deeply about the issue, like, why has it taken 34 years to get clean water to this community? Or, why didn't they just move away? Or, was the tribe not being connected to safe water due to discrimination? These are some excellent questions that you came up with. And I'm sure you can imagine the deep, rich conversation that would happen if you talked about this. There would be difference of opinion and different people would have to explain their own reasons. Those are the kinds of questions that you're going to try to write for your discussion. You might look at the question matrix, which you have on your green paper in your binder. Some of these questions here, these stems will help you if you're stuck. But especially you can use the other side of the page, which gives you some guidelines for writing perplexing questions. So whatever questions you ask should require more than one word to answer. They should be difficult to answer because they are asking you to think deeply about the topic. The answer is not obvious. It requires you to make a decision about what is right and wrong or what is better. Or it requires people to make a connection. They should be difficult to answer. They might mean that you include a quote and ask what people think about that quote, or if they agree with it, or what they think it means. Often they will be how or why questions. They will be about the ideas, not just the specifics of the text that you're referring to, and they will connect to the real world or relate to the lives of the people in the discussion. Your questions might not do all of these things, but they should do at least some of them. When you write these questions, remember that you're researching the power of influence and other people's ideas about that. So, other people, if I look back at the website, looked at different supplemental texts than you did, and they have different questions about the power of influence. So number one, you can ask general questions about the power of influence, like, how much influence do you think is too much? When does influence become dangerous? Or you can also ask questions that get someone's opinion on the supplemental texts that you looked at, so you can hear a new perspective. So if, for example, you looked at the text, "This is how cults work," which I'll click on right now, you may not ask people, were you ever in a cult? Because that might not be very useful. But you might ask a question inspired by this article that relates to influence, like how do cults become so influential? Or why do you think someone would be drawn to a cult? Or, if you're going to relate it to the lives of the participants, do you think that you've ever been influenced too much in your decisions and behavior by a group of friends? Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? So your goal for tomorrow is to write 5 strong questions and come prepared with that to class. I hope this helps. If you're really stuck, feel free to get in touch with me on Remind. Thanks, guys.